There we go. All right, so we are going to be talking about Seesaw. For those of you who are joining us from Brookside and Memorial, we do have a subscription to Seesaw for Schools, which is the paid version of Seesaw. And those of us joining us from the other schools, from Woodland, Stacy, and the high school, we do not have a paid subscription for you guys, but we do use and support the free version of Seesaw, which has a lot of the same functionality, just has a few limitations into how much you can post and the number of pages on your activities and things like that. But you can still get a lot of great functionality and build some really great activities for your students. So let's talk about what Seesaw is. So here's my slide. All right. So Seesaw is basically an online workflow. So those of you that have experience with Google Classroom, Seesaw is basically the same thing. It's designed for our younger students and those that need more support. It's a lot more picture-y and bubbly. It's not so text dependent, and it doesn't have as many clicks and things that you have to get through to get to the actual assignment. So it's a little bit more user-friendly, so it makes it a little bit easier for our little ones to use and our kids who might have some executive functioning or language barriers. It makes it a little bit easier for them as well. So within Seesaw, you can assign activities, just like Google Classroom, submit activities, just like Google Classroom, give feedback, like Google Classroom, and kids can upload artifacts into a digital portfolio. So this is a little different than Google Classroom because Google Classroom requires you to build assignments and things for the kids to respond to, whereas in Seesaw, kids can upload stuff even if the teacher hasn't provided an assignment or an activity for them to complete. They can put stuff in their portfolio all on their own. It doesn't have to attach to something. So some of the benefits of Seesaw is that it has really great integrated tools, things that are kind of built into Seesaw that we can use in Google Classroom, but we usually have to use an extension or an add-on or a website or something like that. So some of those key tools are the drawing tool, where the kids can actually draw with their mouse or their finger if they have a touchscreen device. Audio recording, video recording, and text. So just like on slides, you can put in a text box, you could do that on Seesaw as well, so the kids can type if that's the direction you want to go in. Teachers can provide audio and video directions for their kids. It's built into the platform, so it's not something extra you have to download. Teachers can provide templates for the students. This is something you can do in the regular version of Google Classroom. Seesaw provides you with a sample student. So this is very different than Google Classroom. It lets you demonstrate to the kids what they should be doing by going in as if you were a student. So the teacher actually gets to experience and see the activities from the viewpoint of the student themselves. So they know if there's any hiccups or any kinks in their activity and they can go back and fix it. And it does allow you to connect parents and families into Seesaw so that they can see the stuff that their student has been submitting or doing in class. Google Classroom has parent guardian summaries, but as a parent guardian myself using these, they don't give you a whole lot of information. They basically just say, your kid is missing these assignments, and then underneath of it, it'll say, okay, this week we did A, B, C, and D. Like it doesn't give you a whole lot. You can't click into their assignments. You can't see what they submitted. It's just kind of like the newsletter, like a weekly newsletter a teacher would send home. It's basically the same thing with the added missing assignment thing. So the parent family accounts on Seesaw actually let the parents see what their child has turned in, and then they can have those conversations about what they did in school that day. So how to get started. My K-2 friends, if you are a homeroom teacher, your classes are already set up. If you were using it before, I kind of tried to merge the two classes when we bought the platform itself. Those of you that weren't using it before, you should have seen all of your kids loaded into your classroom. For our support staff, I tried to add as many of you as co-teachers as the homeroom teachers requested. The special ed teachers, the EL teachers, if you requested a class, I tried to set that up. If you still need a class set up, if you're a music teacher, a PE teacher, an art teacher, special ed, EL, if you're not a homeroom teacher and you need a class set up, reach out to me and we'll get that started for you. Homeroom teachers, if you have roster changes, you need to reach out to me so that we can get those kids added into your class. You can delete students, go for it. If they switch to another classroom, if they leave the district, whatever happens, you can take them out of your class. But in order to get them in, you need to reach out to me because I have to connect facets and all that kind of stuff. For grades 3 through 12, everybody else, you're going to be using the free version of Seesaw. So what that means is you're on your own for signing up, you're on your own for getting your kids in there, but it's really simple. So my friends in K-2 who were using it before we switched over to the free version, it's fairly straightforward to do. It's just like loading your kids into a Google Classroom. You sign up for an account, you give your class a name, you choose Gmail for your sign-in, and it gives you a class code. The kids use that class code to become part of your class, and from that point on, all they have to do is sign in with Google and they're all set. So there is some information at the end, some videos and stuff to walk you through how to do that, but it's really straightforward, just follow the directions on the screen. So now you've set up your class, what are we gonna do with it? Teachers can add activities, you can either create your own. As you get started, I highly recommend that you go through the community, the library, the activities that are out there on the internet, and pull some of those in. You can edit them, you can change them as you go along, but they're a really great place to start, and they give you an idea of some of the things that you can do within Seesaw. You can also share activities with your colleagues. If you are K-2, we do have a school library that comes to us through the Seesaw for Schools platform, so you have access to the other activities from your colleagues in the different grade levels. You can still share activities even if you're not at the K-2 level, or if there's a second grade teacher who wants to share an activity with a third grade teacher, you can share the activities by sharing the link with them. So you can do it outside of the Seesaw for Schools school-based library as well. Teachers have the option of approving student posts. I highly recommend this so that when students submit stuff, teachers kind of have to review it and then they can approve whether it gets added into their portfolio or not. The reason I recommend this is because if you turn this on and a student only halfway does an assignment, or you know they could have done something different, or they didn't follow the directions, you can send it back to them and have them do it again. So if you don't have this turned on, the activity automatically posts and there's no way for you to give it back to the student without having to reassign a new assignment to them. And then once students have posted their assignments, you can give them feedback. You can allow them to comment and like one another's work within the classroom. And then the families can also see it once it's posted into their portfolio. So once it's gone through you to be approved, you can decide whether you open up to the other students to provide feedback to each other, and you can decide if you're going to allow families to be part of your Seesaw experience and open that up as well. All right, couple more. So what can students do? Students can post a lot of different things within Seesaw. They can post drawings, paper drawings, digital drawings, whatever you want. They can draw stuff, they can label stuff, they can circle things, they can fill out worksheets. So if you have a picture or a PDF of a worksheet, you can put it into Seesaw and they can complete the work there. They can do text, so they can type stuff, or they can write with their finger if they have a touchscreen device. They can add images or photos, so they can look for stuff on the internet, or if they have a photo of something they want to put in there, they can do that too. They can make videos right within Seesaw. They don't have to make a video on their phone, figure out how to get it on their Chromebook, upload it from their iPad. They can make the video right on their Chromebook from the Seesaw platform. They can also do audio recording. So if they've written a piece of writing, and some of our kindergartners, it could be a little tricky to figure out what exactly it is that they've written on their paper, they can speak what they've written so that you can hear their story as you decipher what letters and things they put on the paper. So you can kind of match what their thinking is with what you see on the paper. Same thing for a math problem. They can talk through their strategies that they used when they were trying to solve the problem. So you can actually hear what they were doing when they did what's on the screen. I have a bunch of examples and stuff. I'm going to put some links in here. I just didn't get around to it before we started. There's going to be some different examples and stuff in here. Oops, wrong button. All right. Couple of quick tips before we break out into what you guys want to talk about. So the first thing is modeling. We talked about the sample student a little bit. It's a really great resource. I know those of you that are using Google Classroom, this is one of the things that you asked for Google Classroom. It doesn't exist. I know there's a big push all around the world for Google Classroom to add a sample student, or at least a student interface that teachers can play around with. Seesaw has it. So once you've created your activity, once you've assigned it to your students, you click on sample student, you build a response to that program or to that assignment, and you see and experience exactly what the kids are going to do step by step through there. So you can use it to determine if your activity is built the way that you want it to be, if you're getting the results you want. You can also use it as an opportunity to model for your students how they're going to do the activity as well. For the activities, you can put links to other stuff on your Seesaw activity. So you can put links to other activities within Seesaw. So if you have 3 or 4 activities, you can link them all up into the same activity. So students don't have to click on one to get to all of them. You can also embed links to other websites, Lexia, ABCya, BrainPop, anything that you use on the web, you can put a link to it in Seesaw itself. My K-2 friends, your activities actually allow you to have multiple pages. So you can have a cover page that says math, reading, science, social studies. Math, when they click on the math button, it takes them to page 4 to do their math activity. So just like slides allows you to have multiple pages, if you're K-2, your Seesaw activities can also have multiple pages. My friends in 3 to 12, you don't have the option for multiple pages, but you can use links to get to the other stuff that you want the kids to do, whether it's in Google Slides, other websites, wherever it may be. You can use the linking capabilities to send the students where you want them to go. Also in Seesaw for Schools, you can assign skills and standards to your assignments, to your activities, so that let's say you have a progression of 4 activities that all go with the same skill. You can see how your students are progressing within that skill as you evaluate them. So it gives you some tracking capabilities within your dashboard to see how the students are moving along in those skills. When it comes to giving your kids directions, we talked about this a little bit before. Teachers can do audio and video directions. You can talk to your kids and tell them what you want them to do. You can video yourself so that they see your face talking and telling them what to do. You can also video and hold up little cue cards, or however you would normally give directions at the beginning of an activity in class. You can do the same in Seesaw through the video interface. Or if you just want to include your audio, you can do that as well. You can give them a template. So we talked about this with Google Classroom. When you assign an activity in Google Classroom, you find the file and you make a copy for each student. Seesaw does the same thing, but there's no make a copy for each student button. Every student gets their own version anyway. So you just pick the file that you want them to use. It's attached to their assignment. When they click to respond and make their response to your activity, the template's already there. It loads up automatically for them, so they don't have to do anything. And then finally, one of the coolest things I've seen is that there are some things that you can type in your directions that actually make the little Seesaw icons, like the microphone icon or the pencil icon, they actually show up in the directions. So the kids see the microphone button in the directions so they know, excuse me, when they complete the assignment, they need to click the microphone button in the activity itself. So they make that connection between the directions and when they're actually working on the assignment. And then they can go back to the directions. So once they've opened their assignment, there's a link at the top that takes them back to the directions so they can see and hear it again. All right, these are all the links. They're going to be available to you after the fact. They're going to be on the website page that will be there. So there's a lot of stuff in here. There's some getting started stuff in here. There's some deep diving kind of stuff, some of the how to create this kind of activity, how to create that kind of activity, how to use the activity library, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to go with you guys' questions. And if we think breakout rooms are going to be the best way to answer everybody's questions, we'll do that. So, questions. Feel free to unmute yourself. You don't have to wait for me to call on you.
I would also like to see how to make a cut and paste.
Okay. Where's my...
So are you going into cut and paste now?
Well, I'm just seeing what everybody wants to do. Like, is there a group of people that want to go over like the basics, or is everybody good with kind of diving into different stuff?
I put it in the chat, and I'm going to have to go in 10 minutes, but when you have a worksheet that's horizontal, is there any way to, because it comes in back, sideways, if you can rotate it?
No.
PDF?
No. I mean, you have to rotate it in the file itself before you pull it into Seesaw.
I tried that and it still wouldn't come through. I tried as a PDF, I'd edit it, rotate it, but it still kept going through. And I even tried when I scanned it to try to scan it the opposite way to see if maybe it would come through. And yeah, it kind of fixes it the way the visual is. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, it comes
Screenshot,
through.
take a screenshot of it and rotate the screenshot.
Yeah.
I'll try that one. Yeah.
You could also try doing it in two pieces. So instead of making it tall, if it's the type of worksheet that lends itself to it, you could do the top half of it and the bottom half of it, and then it is long as opposed to tall.
Okay, I'll try it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? All right, so I see a couple people want the basics. And a lot of people want to dive into the deeper stuff. So, all right, let me get some people started with the cut and paste type thing. And then my friends who will want to do the basics, if you want to jump into the slides and go through some of the links and see if there's some stuff there that answers your questions, why don't you guys try and do that? You can turn your video and stuff off and try that. I'll get the other group started on some of the other stuff. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So when you are creating an activity, go to my Seesaw. All right, switch to teacher. Okay, so this is my demo class. This is where I kind of practice all my stuff. When you go to do an activity, you go to the green plus sign to add an activity, and you assign an activity. So this is going to take you into your library, the community library, and your school and district library. This one's relatively new, but this is where you'll find the activities that everybody K-2 is sharing with one another. This is where they'll live, is in the school and district library. To create a new activity, you just go to the blue plus, create a new activity. Demo, cut and paste. I could do my directions here, add video directions. I could give them a template. We're just going to do it from scratch. Oops, edit it. All right, so I'm going to add a template. In my template, I'm going to make a drawing. And in my drawing, I'm going to make text boxes. So I would have the worksheet that has the different, sort these objects into living, non-living, and then I would have all my little pieces. Well, my little pieces are going to be my text boxes or my images that I'm pulling in. So this could be tree. This might be a house. This would be a rock. The dog. So I have all of these pieces, and it's not going to be, why is it not moving? There we go. So I don't think you can call it a cut and paste because they're not actually cutting the pieces out. It's more of a movable activity where they're moving the pieces to where you want them to go. So they just need to start out in one place. So these all start out over here on the side. They're movable for the kids. Now I want to give them somewhere to put them. So maybe I want to give them circles. So this circle would be for living. And then this other circle would be for non-living. Make it a different color. All right. And then I would want to lock this particular piece because this is more of my background. I don't want them manipulating that. And then when they're in here doing their work, they simply drag the pieces to where they want it to go. And they would put it into the fill in the blank or into the sort or into however it may be. depending on what the activity is asking them to do. And you as the teacher, yes.
Sorry, I had my Zoom grid covering it. Where did you get those shapes from? Was it the 3 dots?
So you go to the 3 dots and you go to shapes.
Okay. Thank you.
And then they kind of are all down here. You can scroll through them and find different things.
Thank you.
The
Yeah.
cool thing I noticed about the shapes when I was doing something the other day is there's base 10 blocks already in there. So
Yep,
like
there's
if you were
lots of
doing an
blocks.
activity, you could have the kids add those in.
There's thought bubbles, speech bubbles. There's these tangram blocks right here. There's the hundreds blocks. There's math symbols, music symbols. There's some pretty cool stuff in here. that
Wait,
you
where
can
is the,
manipulate.
can you tell, where is the base 10 blocks? Where was that?
So
Did
go
I-
to the 3 dots.
Yep.
Go to shapes.
Yep.
And then if you go down here,
Yep.
right here. So
Oh, I
here's your
see.
1, your 10, and your 100.
Thank you, thank you.
Yep. So then now that I have my template made, let me move dog back over here. Oop. That's what I want my template to be for the kids. That's what they're gonna do their work on. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna assign it to my class. Wait, I think it's this one, not that one. Okay. Here's my directions. So now I can go back into my class. I'm ready to show my kids how to do this activity. I click on add a response. I'm the sample student. This is how I model it for them. It pulls this up for me. And now as the student, I can't do anything with the blue circle. I can't move it. I can't do anything to it. I can unlock it, but you don't want to teach them how to do that. But I can move all of these pieces into whichever section I want to put them in. And that's the front. So then I can sort them, put them in the blanks, label the things on the diagram. Maybe you put a picture of a house in there and you want them to label the roof, the door, the grass, whatever it may be. So they can label like this, they can sort like this. I don't know what other cut and paste activities you would be doing, but they can, the pieces that they would be cutting and pasting are actually going to be movable items. It could be a picture, it could be a word that kind of float over on the side, and then they drag to wherever they want them to be on the screen. Does that make sense?
Can I ask a question, Sarah?
Of course.
So with this, before you post it as an assignment, can you do a verbal direction for the kids?
Yes. So
Can you show how to do that?
Yep. Hold on, let me get out of here. All right. So if I were to do verbal directions, if I'm in the activity here, right here where it says student instructions, these are the directions that the kiddos see. I can add voice directions, which is just my voice talking, or I can add multimedia instructions or an example. So I could record myself doing the sample student so they can keep coming back to that example. Or I could just record my face talking through the directions so they see my face and any gestures or cues that I might be giving them visually. But one of the things we found is that particularly with our ELs, having them be able to come back to the teacher, giving the directions and then showing how to do the model example, if that's recorded and posted in the directions, they can do that. So it's not going to work right now because I'm using Zoom, the video and the audio and all that kind of stuff, so I can't do it right now. But when you add those in there, when the students go into their activity, they view and hear the directions up here on this button at the top. So this button up here that says view instructions, they'll be able to come back, read the directions, hear the directions, see the directions, whatever you've added to the directions, they can access from that button up there at the top. Any other questions about this part?
Sarah, I don't know, maybe this is what you're going into also, or I don't know. So say, and stop me if I'm going ahead, if you have something made already and I want to add, say this is my background, and then down here there's like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want to, I have it uploaded, and then I want to move that if it's already made.
Can you show it to me again?
Sure. So this one doesn't actually have numbers on the bottom, but it's different pieces. And pretend say at the top or bottom, it says first, second, third, fourth, you know, you're sequencing. So I want to move these to the number boxes, but it's already made. So you would upload.
You would have to make each of those, sorry. You would have to make each of those their own separate image and bring those in individually. You can't bring in the whole worksheet and then kind of cut it apart within Seesaw. You have to kind of have each piece that you want to move has to be its own picture or text to start with.
So you would put the first sheet as like your background? Would you cut off the part that you want to take the separate images up?
Yes,
with like white
I would.
paper?
Yes, I would. Whether it's through a screenshot or, you know, taking a camera picture with your phone or iPad or whatever it may be, take a picture or screenshot the part that you want to be the background
Okay,
and then add those other pieces in that you want the kids to be able to manipulate.
got it. Thank you.
Yep. I think that was your question too, Dee, right? Yep. Okay.
I
As
found the snipping tool on our laptops to be super helpful. Like, I don't know if people know about that, but the snipping tool, if you search for it in the search bar, is like screen grabbing on your, because I have a Mac at home, so it's basically just like screenshotting, but I've used that a ton and it's been super helpful.
best thing ever, and then you pin it to your taskbar so you don't have to keep searching for it. It's awesome.
What was that called again?
It's called the snipping tool. So you know on the bottom of your teacher laptop where it says type here to search, if you start typing in there snip, it's either called snipping tool. Now I think it changed its name to like snip and sketch or something like that. But if you just type snip and then open it up, when the icon shows up on the bottom of your taskbar, you know, where all your little things show up that you're using, if you right click on it, you can pin it there so that it stays there and you don't have to keep searching for it each time.
Then you would be able to take that part off the bottom of the picture. Is that what you were saying?
Oh, thank you.
And like Dee was asking about the horizontal versus vertical, you could screenshot the top half of the page so that it's long and import that, and then screenshot the bottom half so that it's long and import that as page 2.
That's good.
Okay. So if you have a PDF and you're trying to get, so you know when you buy something on Teacher Pay Teacher, it has title page, direction page, credit page. It's got like 5 extra pages that you never need your students to ever see. You only need like the 2 pages that are stuck in the middle. So you can do either the snipping tool, like Sierra said, you can pull the PDF up on your screen, take a snip of it, and now it's a picture. You could do that. The other thing you can do is on your teacher laptops, when you go to print something, you have the option to print as a PDF. So this may seem counterproductive because it's already a PDF, but when you go to print as a PDF and then you choose the pages that you want, so let's say you want page 3 and 4, you don't need all the other pages, you only want 3 and 4, choose the printer that says print to PDF, where it says what pages do you want, put in pages 3 and 4. It makes a whole new PDF file of just page 3 and 4. So it cuts out all those extra pages that you don't want, that you don't need, so that when you attach that to Google Classroom or you upload it into your Seesaw, the students are only getting 3 and 4. They're not getting the title, the credit, the table of contents, the directions, all that kind of stuff. They're only getting the pages of the activity that you want. Same thing for those big units that are like 400 pages long. You only want them to do pieces at a time. You only have to print or save as a PDF the pages that you want each time. So a lot of teachers I know, when they do Teacher Pay Teacher, the first thing they do is they open the PDF and they save as a PDF each of the actual pages as an individual page of itself. So they'll have a whole folder of page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, so that it's ready to go whenever they're ready.
Sarah, can I ask a question about that?
Of course.
So someone told me to do that. And so I went there, and in where it says print, it does not say for me, print as a PDF. Does my computer have to have something else downloaded, like Adobe or something like that? It definitely looks like I'm missing something. It could be me, but it looks like I'm missing something.
When you are printing, it says save as a PDF. When you open your PDFs, what do they open in? Like, how do they open?
Yeah, so that I don't know that from the top of my head. That the person I was working with, who's right below me on the screen, asked me that same question. I think it's in Adobe. I think it's that, but now I'm not sure because I've been downloading a bunch of stuff and I could have messed things up.
So I know save as a PDF works in Google Chrome.
Google Chrome.
I know Save as a PDF works in Adobe Reader. And I
Okay.
know Save as a PDF works in Mozilla Firefox. I do not know if Save as a PDF works in Microsoft Edge or Explorer, or whatever it's called.
All right. Let me try those. That's good advice. I get it.
Okay. Uh-huh. Anybody else? Things you want to see, things you want to learn how to do.
I have a question, and it has,
Please.
like, I've used Seesaw before, but my question is, I never used it for distance learning.
Okay.
Is there a way to like organize topics, like assignments by day in Seesaw?
Not really, no. So they do have folders, but the folders are more for looking at all of the reading activities at once. It doesn't tidy up the stream. The stream is just constantly running. There's no real way to kind of organize it that way. Jen?
I have an idea for that because I would get them to Seesaw and they'd see everything. And I tend to assign a lot so that they're not ready for it. So what I've done under my Google, under stream, or you could do classwork, I just cut and paste the links for the day. And I'll say 1 through 5. And then they just click on it and it takes them directly to.
Awesome. That was my other question, is how well do the links integrate with Google Classroom? So that's perfect.
Really well. They do really, really well. So when you're in there, and for friends who need to see this, this is what it looks like. So when you're in the activity and you're looking at the assignment, start over, delete. So if I'm in here and I've already assigned the activity, I've assigned it to them in Seesaw. Now I want to make it easier to find all the different assignments that I want them to do today. Right here, where the 3 little dots are, I choose Get Student Link. I copy it, and now I have a link that I can paste wherever I want. I can make a master Seesaw document that has the links for today right in it. So you're going to do these activities 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can do what Jen does and do it in my Google Classroom and put the links right in Google Classroom. I can make a Google Slides, put that wherever I want it to be. There's a lot of different ways. If you're at Woodland, Stacy, or the high school, you can shoot this link in an email to the kids because the kids get emails from the teacher, so you could do it that way. So whatever your way of getting your students to their work is, you can take this link from the Get Student link and then copy it. You can put this link wherever you put your links for your students to access.
So
Sarah-
Sarah, if you use that, then like, so say you put that in Google Classroom. So if the student clicks on that, it will bring them to that specific assignment. But
That
will
was
it,
my question too. Yeah.
will it already open it up? Like, you know how they have to press like the green button? Will it already do that, or will they still have to press the green button?
Jen can answer that because she probably
still
knows
have-
better than I do.
So it brings them to the link and then they still have to hit. So I usually share my screen and I taught, like they split their screen. We'll pull it up and I'll model student and I'll just have them open it while I'm doing it. But they're good at it now. So they just have to hit the add response. That's it.
I believe it takes them straight to this page, right, Jen?
Yep.
So they see, so I would click the link in Google Classroom. It would bring me here. They click add response and then they can pick their name out of the list who they are.
So they would only see that assignment, not the other ones then?
Yeah,
Okay.
because this is in the activities tab. They see other assignments down here, like underneath of it. If you have more than one assignment open to them, they'll see other ones, but that link will take them directly to this one in that list.
Okay.
Sarah, can you show us how to make a folder? Like this might be as simple. I don't know how to.
All right, so here's my classroom, right? If
Yeah.
I gotta move you guys because you're on top of my toolbar over here. So this is my journal. Over here where the folder button is, it'll show up for all of your students. There'll be a folder here on the side. So you click folder, and then down here at the bottom, manage. And then you can create new folders here. You can do a reading folder, a math folder, an assessment folder, or whatever folder you want to do. You can do that. So
I had a hard time. I would create a folder. I created a math folder, and then that's all I could do. Like I got there, and then I tried to create an ELA folder, and I couldn't do it.
So you have to go back down to where it says create a folder.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make, like you said, an ELA one. I hit the green check mark up here that's hiding.
Yeah.
And now I have these two folders. So you have to keep going to create a folder. The important thing to know about folders is that it doesn't take stuff out of the stream. It just kind of puts like a label or a sticker on them. It doesn't move stuff out of the stream and like hide it or put it away. It just classifies it as going with that particular folder. So if I wanted to see Johnny's ELA work, I would go over here, click on Johnny's name, pull up his ELA folder, and I could see all of his ELA work of the things I've classified as ELA. So I have to classify each assignment as where I want it to go, but it doesn't hide in that folder. It's like putting one of those like flags, those Post-it note flags on something. It kind of
Okay.
marks it as that, but it doesn't hide it away.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. What else, guys?
I asked a question about, I did an assignment the other day, and then like when the kids submitted it, I reviewed it and I clicked like the little like emoji like heart thing, like I liked it, and I wrote like, great job, Sarah. But then when I logged in as another student, you could see all of that in the journal. Is there a way to hide that so they're not seeing my responses to every kid?
So you have to turn off, if you go into your settings, let me share and I'll show you. If you go into your settings, which is the wrench in the upper right-hand corner, if you scroll down a little bit, right here where students can see each other's work, you need to turn that off. And then you just have to confirm it. And that basically means when they log in, they'll only see their stuff. This also takes away their ability to comment and like one another's stuff. They can't see each other's stuff, they can't comment or like on it. So you just have to confirm that change if you don't want them to see each other's things.
Sarah, is there a way to group kids without having to make like a separate class? Like if I wanted to group them by cohort A and B? Because when I've assigned things right now, like I go in and I just assign the specific kids in that cohort, but is there a way to group them? So no.
I don't think so. I think the easiest thing to do is what you said, either give it to those 10 students versus these 10 students, or make separate classes for the two.
So we can make separate classes on our own though? That's.
Send me a list.
Okay.
Because if there's students, so the thing is for my Seesaw for Schools people, my K-2 people, once the kids are already in the system, it's fairly easy to manipulate them and pull them into additional classes. It's that initial put them into the roster kind of a thing that needs all that information that I asked for, the email and the facet and all that stuff. If you just need to make a new class or you need to make a subgroup or a kid is moving from teacher A to teacher B, I need their name and I need their SASIT, because their SASIT is their identifier in Seesaw. So basically when I'm looking up a kid to see if they exist, I'm pasting their SASIT into the search box and it'll either tell me if they exist or where they are. So if you want to make a cohort A and a cohort B, send me the names and the SASITs and I can easily make you 2 new classes for that.
Thank you.
Anything else, guys?
Sarah, can you tell us, you had mentioned like doing a multiple page assignment, like with the cover sheet. How do you put the links in the Seesaw assignment itself?
So the easiest thing that I've found for putting the links to the various things in there is when you have, let's edit this one, I don't want to keep new ones. So if I wanted to put a bunch of links in here, maybe I wanted them to do a brain pop activity and then I wanted them to go to ST Math or whatever it may be. The easiest thing I found is to make a shape. So if I want to do a square, and then this square, if I go to the 3 dots, I'm going to make this square a link to whatever I want them to go to. So if I want them to go to brain pop, now when they click on this rectangle, it's going to take them to brain pop, and I can add a label so they know what this is and put it here on the top. I can also make the text a link depending on how fancy you want this to go. So you basically have to put something in the slot, in the workspace, in the template, and then it turns into a link that the kids can click on. So whether it's a shape, whether it's a text box, you can pull in a clip art, or if they are familiar with like the GG logo and all the different logos for the website you use, you can pull in pictures of those logos and make those links to whatever sites you want them to be.
Sarah, I
answer
have
something?
2 questions.
One of the slides. So if I had 5 slides there, you just go and get the link for that slide, like you already showed us, and then include in. Okay.
Yep. Yep. So each slide has its own link that you can pull and send them to farther pages down. So if I go back to this rectangle, I can switch the link. Whoops, I didn't mean to open it. Come on. Not letting me. I'm a pen. All right, let's try that again. So if I want to make this a link to a further down page, right here it says link to page, and I can send them to whatever page I want them to go to. So if I want to send them to page 3, now when they click on this, it's going to send them to page 3 in the activity and just do the things on that page. Is that what you were looking for? What else?
Sarah, I had a question. Well, I have 2 actually. Well, one was when I have found some activities that were pre-made that linked to like a video. I forget what the website was, maybe like Safe Link or something. I could watch the video and I thought it would be fine, but then my students said that it was like blocked. Like it was blocked by the district. Like they said, oh, I can watch it on my mom's phone, but not on the Chromebook.
So for those instances, if you can get a parent to take a picture of which particular block screen they're getting, because we have a couple of different filters and things in place. So if we know which thing is blocking it, we can address it. So we would need the website, you know, if you can copy the link to whatever video or whatever it is, and then have a parent share with you the picture of what the student sees on their computer, we can take care of that and get that listed.
Okay, thank you. My next question was, so I know I can comment on student work and like it, but is there any way to like mark it up? Like if I want to like show them like number 5 was wrong, go back to number 5. Right now I've just been copying like take another look at number 5. Is there another way I could do that?
I don't think there is, but let me look into it and see what I can find.
Okay.
Sarah, you mentioned like sending, like families can get an email at the end of the week or something. How do you add the families in there? Because right now
they don't get it. Yep. So they don't get an email, but what they can do is they can, if you turn on family access, they can use the Seesaw family app. And what it allows them to do is basically to kind of be like an observer of what their student account is doing. So when their students upload something, they can get a notification through the Seesaw app that their student turned in a piece of work, or you have approved their post of a piece of work or whatever it is. I believe it has to go through the app, so they have to download the Seesaw family app. It's a free app. It's on Android, Apple. It's basically on everything. And then within your Seesaw account, if you go to the little wrench in the upper corner, one of the little switches is to allow families. So you would just have to turn that on, and then there's like an invitation that you can send them that they enter a code or something into the app to get in.
Thank you.
I had a question. It's kind of an organizational question. So we talked about how they all just show up in the stream and there's not really a way to organize that. So once an assignment is completed by everybody, is there a way to like archive it so it goes off the stream? Like I want it to still be in their portfolios, but I want it to like maybe leave the stream.
So you can archive it.
Would it still show up in their journal?
Or delete it. I'm sorry, you can delete it. I don't know if it takes it out of their journal or not. I can look that up and find out for you and get back to you.
Okay.
Sarah, how do you delete it? Like I have like 1,000, how do you delete some of those?
So if you are in your activity, so I'll show you. So here's my Seesaw, right? That activity page where I can get the link or I can add a response as the demo student, that same page. If I go to the 3 dots, the red activity is delete activity. And So it doesn't go away from my library. It does go away from this class. I have to check and see if it takes the student responses out of their journal. I'm not sure yet. So I
Okay,
gotta
thank
check
you.
into that. But if you have like activities you've made and the kids haven't responded to yet, and you ended up using something different for that. So like if there's no responses or any, it's just like floating around in there and you don't need it, you can go ahead and delete it.
Okay, thank you.
What else?
How do you save things to the school district tab?
Awesome question. Let's find out. All right, so here's my activity. If I go into the library,
Yeah, that's what ours looks like, 0. And I tried to put stuff in it, but I had no idea how.
Yep. So if I go in here to my library, share activity, I can share it to the Seesaw library, meaning anybody in the world can see it. I can share it to the school library, meaning other teachers at Brookside or at Memorial can see it. If I want to send it to a specific teacher, so if I'm working with an EL teacher in one of the other schools, so if someone's in Brookside and wants to share with someone in Memorial or something like that, you can choose teachers, or you can get the teacher link. So this select teachers, this would be within the same school, but if you wanted, like if you were an EL teacher working with an EL teacher in the other building, you could copy this teacher link and put it in an email to that person, and they would be able to access it and use your activity as well. But the school library is right here. So again, you go to the 3 dots. In the you have to be in your library. You go to the 3 dots, you go to share activity, and then you have all your different sharing options here.
Thank you.
Yeah. What else?
So, sorry, I have a lot of questions.
No, that's what this is for.
So I have something from Teachers Pay Teachers that I bought specifically, like you can download the link for either Google or Seesaw. When I download that, will it kind of open right up in Seesaw if it's made specifically for that? Do you know? I haven't.
No, what it will probably do is open up in Google, because it's probably a Google Slides. And then when you go to Seesaw, you can pull it right in from your drive.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
For the feedback, when you are opening a student, I know, I forget who asked the question. I think it was Catlin. When you are in looking at a student's piece of work and you're looking at what it is, down in the right-hand corner, there's 3 little dots. And within those 3 little dots, you can pull up the pen tool, the same as the kids have the pen at the bottom of the screen. And you can write using the Seesaw pen on their work. So if you want to circle something or arrow something or exclamation mark, smiley face, whatever you want to do, you can do that as well.
Can you like post a Bitmoji classroom and all the links will work? Okay.
I don't think so. I mean, you probably could, but things are a little clunky that way in Seesaw. Like that kind of stuff is a little clunky. So I think the Bitmoji works better when it's just like a link, like you can publish it to the web and use it that way.
And what about like a Google slide that's already created with moving pieces? Does that work in it or?
I think so. I haven't actually tried it, but I think so. Melissa's nodding her head yes.
Yeah, I tried that and it did. The only thing is like in Google Slide, I had made like a yellow box where like the kid was supposed to fill the answer in. And then the yellow box was kind of weird in Seesaw. So I just deleted it and put like a text box back in. So it was a little bit of maneuvering, but at least like the basis, like background of the slide was still there.
Okay.
What else, guys?
So Sarah, I just tried sharing an activity and it went to all my Brookside friends, but if I wanted to share it with Brookside Memorial, like I could only click or unclick Brookside.
Yeah, they don't talk to each other.
Okay.
So what you would have, the 2 schools are not connected. They're school accounts, not district accounts. So what you would have to do is, for example, copy the link, that teacher link, send it to, for example, Sierra, and then Sierra could add it to the Brookside Library. Or your CTL, or whoever it may be. I don't know. You might want to establish that connection and pathway between the two schools.
Sarah, I'm having trouble still getting an assignment to my students in the regular classrooms. And I didn't know if anyone had any success. I was just asking Melissa about it. So I struggle with if I make the kids if I make my own classroom and I try to assign it through Google Classroom, there was a disjoint going on. I was having trouble. I had tried this a while ago. I haven't had a chance to check back into it yet, but but then I couldn't use my account if I was as a co-teacher. I couldn't seem to access what I wanted from my library to assign to the student. It's like I'd had to go through the co-teacher's information. Does anybody had any experience with this? I just wanted to ask.
Robin, do you have the kids in your Seesaw account and are you connected through like X2 to the classroom account too?
Whatever Sarah set it up as. Originally, I'd set up my own account, and then I know she went in and kind of re-edited everything, and then she made me a co-person. And like I said, I was just struggling with getting what I set up in my account to the student so that they can access it, because I tested it once and it just would not allow the child to access it from the way I had assigned it. So it looked good on my end, but I did it within the school system, within the school one day just to test it, and it wouldn't connect. So I just didn't know if there was a more streamlined or anybody had experience. I still have to mess around with it, but I just didn't know if anyone had done anything with that.
All right, so Robin, it looks like I have you on two classes. I have you with Hilda, and then I have your second grade small group.
That's my, yes.
That's your.
My, yeah.
So are you using the same activity posted in both classes, or you're trying to get your student into your mini class or into Hilda's class to do the activity?
I'm trying to find something that I think would be appropriate for my student in the library and assign it into the Google Classroom, or assign it to the student through Google Classroom.
So once you find it in the library, you have to assign it in your Seesaw class. And then once it's assigned in Seesaw, then you can put the link into Google Classroom. You can't skip the Seesaw class and go straight to Google Classroom.
So if the student clicks into Google Classroom, sees the assignment, clicks on it, that will take them to the one that I've assigned to them without.
In Seesaw.
Do they need a code for that? A special code for that?
So
every
currently
time?
you have one student in your mini class.
Yeah.
And then within Hilda's class, she has her whole class.
Yes.
So if you are trying to get that one student to do that activity, he's already in there. If you needed any other students added to that mini class, you would need to let me know so that I can pull them over for you.
Okay. I will do that. I'm sorry. Yep. Gotcha.
That's all right. Gotcha.
What did you needed their SASD, you said, right?
Full name and SASD. Yep, that should be it.
Gotcha.
Anybody else? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And then if you guys have